Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Moore. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator, and welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast, with this particular episode of The Guest, or should I say The Guests Awaken. Joining me today are two of my favorite people in my fellow podcasting sphere. One of the most fun guys, like in online. It's Scotty and Gerry from the Bombadcast. Hey, guys.
Dude, we're so glad to
Hey.
be here. I'm pumped, man.
Yes.
It's so funny.
Oh.
Brennan's been on Bombadcast. How many? Maybe this one.
Quite a few times.
few
Brendan,
times,
Brendan,
Okay.
Brendan could be the third host of Bombadcast at this point, as far as I know.
So, like, what's interesting is, and we were just saying it, this is the first time we're on your show, but we've been a part of, like, epic confrontations together. Like, it's never not been a thing where we've been friends, honestly, since 2022. So, like, the fact that we can now be on your show it's weird. It feels almost like a bookend. Like, we've opened the first chapter and we've gotten to this point now where we can talk about stuff together.
It's
on
the
your
bookend.
show.
So it's the bookend on Page Turners Are We Not, where we can just close it and like we're done after this. By the way,
Yeah,
like,
we'll never come back on.
Yeah, it's just a hard cutoff after
the
this.
sacred Jedi texts. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
It's too bad that we didn't know each other till after Star Wars Celebration Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because then we would have been able to meet up 2 years ago.
It'll come back around.
The day will come.
Yeah, it will.
I had that. I've had friends that I've met who were at Chicago that I haven't met, like Andy, Andy of I was gonna say Andy of Force Friends Rewatch was in Chicago, and we did not we were like some like thick as thieves now, and like didn't meet and everything, and like, and Brennan, you were there, and like now we're all like thick as thieves and stuff, and like it's insane because it's, you want to get there. What Celebration ends up being, if you've been there a couple of times, is you're going to summer camp to see your friends. And yeah, just to, like, then you look back on the friends you've made and they were like, well, I was at this one, but we didn't know each other. It was just like, man, you just imagine imagine the chaos.
I did get lucky because I met a couple of people.
That's awesome.
I met Ken and Joseph at Force Center.
Oh, yeah.
I met Alex and Molly. I met Lauren Romo, our good friend Lauren Romo.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
And, we love Loro.
Yeah, and I met Thomas Arthur from the old Schmodown days.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
But it's fun. I mean, and speaking of fun, my word, the last month has been incredible.
Oh my god,
everybody.
And you've been watching all of our streams. Like we've had nothing but a blast talking to
Phantom Menace. Oh my word, you guys! We're gonna get to North Alone in a few minutes.
Yes, perfect.
But I'll tell you what, it's been amazing because 3 weeks ago. Okay, well, first off, at the beginning of May, Bad Batch ends. Wonderful, beautiful ending. I'm sad the show is gone. But what a way to end it. And then, like a week after that, I went to Disneyland and went to Galaxy's Edge and had like the most amazing time. I'll tell you, it was wild. So on Wednesday, I'm going along and I hear this dad and his daughter walk by me and say, R2-D2's up the ramp there. So I'm like, okay. So I go up the ramp to see. Well, there's R2-D2 sitting there. And who comes around the corner but Rey?
Yes.
So I talked to her for a minute. I've got the video. I need to upload it on my YouTube channel one of these days. And then I go down, and who passes me but Sabine? She stops to say hi to a kid, so I wait my turn. Get a picture with her, then go further down, and lo and behold, there's Ahsoka. It was completely insane. And then later that day, I built my lightsaber.
Oh, that was a great video, dude.
Which I deliberately designed to look like a High Republic
Yes.
lightsaber in honor
brilliant.
of yesterday's amazing occasion.
Yes.
And then did a whole bunch of other crazy stuff, and I can't even remember half of it. I was having so much fun. Got to go on the Millennium Falcon. Got to go on the Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's what a time to live in.
And then a week.
Oh, sorry, Brendan.
And then a week after I get back, it's the Acolyte premiere in Hollywood. And we have lots of people in our community that got to go do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not jealous at all. Well, okay.
Listen, you're talking to a couple of jelly fellies over here. Okay, absolutely.
And then, of course, yesterday, my goodness, yesterday was extraordinary.
We've stayed eating, y'all. We have been able to eat so much Star Wars that it's amazing. Like honestly, like literally,
you don't have to go too far.
No, you don't. When did Bad Batch start? Wasn't it like early March or late February?
It was like late February. Yeah.
So
I remember it started around my birthday and stuff.
Okay, exactly. So like the fact that we've had steady stuff since then, and like we had a little bit of a break between the Phantom Menace and the Acolyte, but like there was still hype between those two things. I mean, it's been wonderful.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did go see Phantom Menace in the theater on the 3rd.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, and I'll tell you, that was the perfect appetizer for what we got yesterday. Because
it was.
No spoilers to those listening who haven't seen it, but it had the feeling of something George Lucas would have made.
Yeah, it did.
It was colorful and bright and full of all kinds of crazy characters. Some literally crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We were just talking about.
That's my favorite. Have you seen me going off on Twitter recently? I've just been losing my mind over the weirdos in this show.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And again, no spoilers, but they're just like me and Scotty, who love the weird stuff. It's a feast of just delightful oddities
with some really amazing main characters. I mean, real.
Yes.
I mean, Lee Jung-jae. I mean, my goodness, the man can do no wrong.
Not at all.
Right.
Well, since you guys this is the first time you're on the show, which yet again I still think is insane.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, same here.
So I have a couple of questions I like to ask all my new guests. Okay. So Scotty, we'll start with you. Question number 1: how did you get into Star Wars?
Honestly, I believe it was my dad who ultimately showed it to me, and I think just the fact that a new one was coming out by the time I was 5 years old, so that was a big deal, right? I think that was a big deal not just for me, but for everyone in my family. And I know my dad watched, A New Hope and Empire and Return growing up, so I think it meant a lot to him. And my mom obviously watched this stuff too growing up, but they weren't like super fans. They weren't like like I'm going to be with my kids or Jerry is with his daughter, just like huge fans. They didn't have posters or, things like that all over the place. Right. But really, honestly, I think the journey really did start with seeing the Phantom Menace 25 years ago in theaters. And it's still, for the most part, still is a huge part of my life. Like, obviously I saw the Phantom Menace 9 times in its most recent release, because I really I wanted to be soaking in it. Like it's a movie that has so much meaning to me on a personal and also just like on a like reflective level. So that really is where my journey began. And obviously I've seen the original trilogy growing up too, but the Phantom Menace, seeing the pod racing as a kid, I can remember doing and experiencing. So my journey is, not much different than most people, like our age's journey. It all started with the prequels. And so seeing the Acolyte now with this like pre-prequel thing is just, it's another dream come true because you see how the Jedi are the way they are and why the universe and the galaxy is the way it is. But at the time, the Phantom Menace rolls around. So it's so weird. It's like this is kind of where I'm at in my mental headspace, I guess, is where original trilogy fans may have been in 99. You know what I mean? We're seeing where people were then versus where people are now. And yeah, my journey's still being told too. I want to keep learning and loving Star Wars as much as I did as a kid. So
it's extraordinary. Yeah, Phantom Menace. I mean, I was 13 when it came out, and I think I was still young enough that the nostalgia was still there. Like anything past 99, I think I lost some of that nostalgia. Like in terms of that childlike nostalgia. But I was still young enough with Phantom Menace.
Right.
That when I go back and rewatch it, I get those nostalgic feelings. And, I went through that phase of being, I love this. I watched the VHS tape to death. Because I'm an old person. The kids out there, a VHS tape is, you have to explain it to you. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
somewhere.
But it was really, so I watched that thing to death. I got the movie memorized, basically.
Yeah.
But then the years when prequel hating became the cool thing to do.
Right.
And I got kind of caught up in that. Until a few years ago, thanks to our good friends at Force Center, I went back and went, wait a minute. I've always loved this thing. What am I doing? And also, by the way, John Williams' greatest score ever, I think.
Oh yeah, no, the Phantom Menace is.
Oh,
yeah, I completely agree. It is
hands down.
It is the best
Hands
score in
down.
the whole saga. Most people wouldn't admit that because A New Hope is so groundbreaking. But like, really, I want to do a score deep dive one day, Jerry, and Brennan. I mean,
oh
you
yeah,
can
we're
come on
gonna
for
do
that.
it.
I just want to like see which one has fight for fight,
And the
punch for
fact
punch.
that he didn't get an Oscar nomination for that is like,
Yeah. I'm trying to think who won that year. Someone crazy. won that year.
99, the Red Violin, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Okay, get you.
Yeah, well, Oscars are one of my specialties in the showdown.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, Jerry, question to you
Sir.
is, how did you get into Star Wars?
So, it was Scotty's father. My parents are more casual, like movie fans is what I would call them. Like they never shied away from pop culture, but they never like. I mean, they let me watch pretty much anything. They took me to see. I've always talked. You've heard me say this a million times. They took me to see Ghostbusters 2 at 3. So at 3 years old.
And it had no effect
but
on
yeah,
you whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it had no effect. Like, there's not a proton pack beside or an ecto one beside me at all. But no, yeah, but my cousin Joey was really into Star Wars, and he was about 10 years older than me. I was the firstborn child of the babies of each of their respective families, and so all my cousins were older and everything like that, And so on my mom's side of the family, especially. But he was like about 10 years older than me. He was a teenager at the time, and he sold me on Star Wars because I was really big into Brandon, I don't know if you watched Cartoon Network in the 90s much, but
yes, I did.
Thundar the Barbarian, the reruns. I was big into Thundar the Barbarian reruns in the 90s, and he had a sun sword, which is essentially a flaming laser sword.
I think I remember that.
Again,
I think I remember that.
Right. Well, I thought it was the coolest thing. I even had one of those old plastic swords that pulled like the blade out and everything, so I could just have the hilt and pretend like there was flames coming out of that hilt. But he sold me on Star Wars going like, they have sun swords, but like they're like different colors, and I was like, no way. No way, dude. And he showed me like I forget if he showed, I don't know how he showed me, maybe like VHS or something, like Luke and Vader on Bespin. I remember that's a weird floaty memory in my child brain. I remember that, but I don't know exactly. Like, again,
the imagery in that scene is like extraordinary,
right? Like, and there was all my earliest memories of Star Wars are The Empire Strikes Back, because I've also told the story about how at my grandma's house on my dad's side, they were watching The Empire Strikes Back, and it was when they were on Dagobah, and I was hiding behind chairs because I was scared of the creepy swamp area and the weird little green guy that was talking
dare
to
you,
the weird
Miss
little green
Kay.
goblin. I know, and so like, and I mean, I got a baby one on my shirt now, so
Yep,
of course
there
it
he
didn't
is.
work to you know, assuade me, but yeah. So, and I mean, my parents ended up, I kind of got into it. They got me like the old school like original trilogy before the special editions came out on VHS. We watched through those. I would watch those, you know, with the Leonard Maltin interviews and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And oh yeah, and I, the stupid little child that I was, fast forwarded through every minute of those because I wanted to get to the good stuff.
The George Lucas giant beard days.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh man, and the lovely coiffed hair that he still has, but it was just something about it in the 90s was just, ooh, just beautiful. But okay, so then the special editions came out, and that is what fully just sent me down sent down the river, I think is a euphemism for going to prison, but I mean basically I am imprisoned in my love for Star Wars now. It sent me down. I mean, it's serious. Look at this. We are all in prisons of our own making, and it's Star Wars memorabilia.
You should see the other side of my room that you can't see on the camera.
Yeah, I do. Well, the other side of my room is like a bunch of dirty clothes, but you know, whatever. It's fine. It is what it is. But there's Star Wars T-shirts. So, but yeah, no. And I mean, just going to see. My parents took me to see every one of those in theaters. They took me to see Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And I
did that too.
Yes, I was blown away. It's why I still, even though people like dog on them, I still have such a love for the special editions. I'm like the only person who likes the special editions. Literally, just look. Yeah, right. I know. Like I'm gonna get kicked off the show now. No, but no, it's that really cemented my love for Star Wars. Then, man, when you had the build up to the Phantom Menace and everything, and again, Brennan, I was 12 when it came out.
Oh.
And so we were like right around the same age. It was the perfect age. We were primed. I mean, Scotty, I mean,
I went nuts.
Scotty was like a little kid, but like it still was, he was old enough for it to like change his brain chemistry and stuff. And it really like from the 5-year-old to the 12, 13, whatever, like, I mean, just like it really did speak to our generation. Absolutely. And it's, I mean, I'm still here to this day, you know? And man, I'm just, I don't know. It's been a fun ride and a crazy ride. And I love the Acolyte, and I promise I won't talk about it.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to restrain myself from revealing too much.
We are barely, it's bubbling to the surface, everybody listening. It is bubbling. We are like bubbling with excited joy and glee.
You ever wonder if they should add a disclaimer to the Phantom Menace saying Gen Xers need not apply? Because it's like this is for like us our age people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely.
It's like if they're a grumpy Gen Xer, it's not going to be for you.
Yeah,
but it's weird. It's like edgy.
Sorry, latchkey kids.
Latchkey kids. No, I think it's interesting because the Phantom Menace had so many layers of like 90s isms. Like you've got dinosaur people like Jar Jar. Like that's very 90s of you know.
Oh yeah.
And then you also had like
dinosaur duck rabbits.
Oof. Oh, like NASCAR. Like NASCAR was pretty relevant, like seriously relevant from like 98 to like 2006. No, I mean it's still popular, but not as popular as it once was, right? Or like motocross. Like motocross was huge in the 90s, and like that aspect of the pod race is kind of there too. And I don't know, like
Talladega Nights came out right after Revenge of the Sith was done.
That's true.
So like it was still in the DNA. It was still in the DNA. George changed the world forever.
Yeah. But like even digital filmmaking was pivotal in the 90s.
Yeah.
So like
exploded.
This movie couldn't have come out in a better time. It is of its era, and I think that's why all three of us here recording and discussing this, it just means so much to us. It's just a special movie.
It is. It's very special, and it took me a long time to really accept that because I think I got caught up in that wave of the old days of Star Wars is great, but the prequel sucks. You know, and that's
Right.
and I'm very glad that people have gone back and reevaluated that.
Same.
Right.
Because it's
Well,
like,
and like
we're
I mean,
missing out. We're missing out.
right. Absolutely. I get, you know, I'll admit too, I had to hide behind some of that stuff because like I got told so many times because I said I liked the prequels that you know, people were like, oh, they suck because of this blah 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 X, Y, and Z. Like I had to hide behind some of that too, and I will admit I made a couple Jar Jar jokes here and there to get by. Not anything as like heinous as some people, but just like, oh, yeah, like Jar Jar, right? Yeah. And it was it was a dark time. It was a dark time. We had to, you know,
But
we were
thank goodness
underground.
for people like Joseph Scrimshaw who always championed it.
Absolutely.
And I think in 20 years, 15, 20 years, the sequels are going to be just as beloved, I think.
Absolutely.
100%.
So my adventures to get into Star Wars, I think it all began with Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies?
And Nance's Muppet Babies back in the...
Yes! Yes, Brennan!
Because
I
they did an
remember that.
episode where they recreated Star Wars.
Yes.
And I think I saw that before I ever saw any of the movies.
Wow, that's interesting.
I think that was true for me too. That's incredible. You just unlocked a huge memory.
Yeah, I think I first
I
saw...
loved Muppet Babies.
I think I first saw the original trilogy.
Yeah.
When, or at least the original film, when I was probably 5.
Right.
So it's always been part of who I am. My parents, you know, had seen the movies in the theater, and they're not like as big a fans as I am, but definitely we are nerds in the Lara family. I'm very proud of it. And
that's right.
So I watched the original trilogy, but like a lot of people, it wasn't until the late 90s that it really exploded. Like that's when my fandom really like took off.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that that was an era of like Star Wars was back. Like some kids like Ken Napsok in the late 80s. Kids were getting rid of their Star Wars toys because they were like, well, it's done. You know, and moved on to other things.
So weird.
And then when they re-released the movies, I still remember 1996. I'm in the movie theater, seeing Space Jam, and I'm watching the previews, and there is for an entire generation, people have only been able to watch Star Wars on the small screen. But if you've only seen it like this, you haven't seen it at all. It was the trailer with the re-release. I still remember vividly that moment. And then Star Wars was back. I mean, it really was. You had Shadows of the Empire on the N64.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Great game. The re-release of the game, and then the hype to Phantom Menace. What a time it was to be a fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's pretty much stayed that way since then.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's changed.
It's been kind of constantly back, right? It hasn't
true.
like
it's true
gone away.
See, for me, like I guess it was maybe an age thing, but like I remember vividly, and I'm sure both of y'all felt the same exact way. When Revenge of the Sith ended, even as a kid, I was 10. I was like, well, it's over. Like that's really where my brain was, honestly.
It's true.
Yeah.
And y'all would have been like around 18, 19, probably.
Right.
Or yeah, so like I know you probably felt the same exact way, but like for real, it was over for me. You know what I mean? Like I was at that level where like, well, other things were flowing in, flowing out. Like I was very much interested in Bond and Pirates of the Caribbean and even music. I've gotten into playing guitar, you know, like a year or so after that. So like it's weird how much your interest changed. But then of course when 2015 rolled around, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the hype of it all, but like there, I mean, look at where I'm at now. I mean, like it's just like it just clicked back in. It's the weirdest thing.
I was part of that generation that was like, Clone Wars, that's for kids. I ain't watching that.
Yeah.
And
Same.
then when they announced that they were making a new trilogy and they released Clone Wars on Netflix, then I watched the whole thing.
Same, Brennan.
And then I went, wow, I really missed out.
Yeah.
See,
You were going to say, Jerry?
I was gonna say, you fake fans. I kept the flame alight during those times. No, I lucked out having a lot of. I was very shy about my nerdy interests and tried to be cool. But luckily, I found some good nerd friends at the college I went to, and I remember my friends. Shout out to my good buddy Cody Bradford. We were in the Bible Majors program together.
Oh, nice.
We went and started buying the first. I think they were on like season 4. Season 4 was about to come out. And we started getting season 1, season 2. We would buy the season, watch him in his dorm room. Like people would come in, like our friends would just be like watching it with us, and we got enamored. We were just so in love with it. Because I worked at a movie theater when the movie came out and was like a little disappointed. I was like, that was kind of lame at the time because I was like, I couldn't see the full picture yet, and which is my own fault. But I'm telling you, man, like after all of that, the show was just, it was on nonstop. I was getting like the season with Darth Maul returning for Christmas. I got one.
I remember when they announced
immediately threw it on.
When they announced Darth Maul was returning, I said to myself, "That's dumb." And then I watched it, and that was the greatest decision ever. And by the way, I did get to meet Sam Witwer 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow, cool.
Wonderful.
I had him sign the picture of Maul and Obi-Wan's last fight in Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, the best.
And he is the coolest guy. Sam is the neatest guy.
Yeah. He seems so nice.
We talked about like the Kurosawa influences and all that stuff. I mean, just incredible.
That's awesome.
So, Jerry, I'll start with you. Question number 2. What is your favorite Star Wars film?
Currently, it changes all the time. It changes all the time.
What is it?
But currently, this ain't going to be a surprise to you, and probably to no one else right now. It's on my Letterboxd top 4, right behind those of you listening. The wonderful host Brennan Marr is a poster for Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Thank you.
With a lovely overhead view of Crate. Yes, and that is my favorite, and I bear that cross every day. Every normal person who just likes Star Wars, isn't like absolutely consumed by it like we are, who asks me what my favorite Star Wars movie is a question I dread, because I have to go, it's The Last Jedi. Don't hit me. Stay back.
Well, guess what? You came to the right place.
That's absolutely
because The Last
correct.
Jedi is brilliant, I think.
The sacred Jedi
Absolutely.
text. But no,
what I loved about it too, and the thing that this is why it's my favorite. I'm sorry, real quick. This is why it is my favorite, is because it is the first Star Wars movie that I saw in a theater for the first time that I did not know where it was going to go, that it actually took me by surprise, that it took swings that I did not see coming.
Oh my word. Yeah.
And that worked for me because I saw what they were wanting. I saw where they were going with. I was like, this opens up so many possibilities. This opens up whatever, and how your mileage may vary and how they ended it, whatever. It's fine. It's all good. But that moment was just like whenever Snoke gets the lightsaber ignites through his midsection, and
that was so unexpected. And so
I was losing my mind. My now ex-wife with like her whole family was surrounding me, and we were all her Star Wars loving family. We were all losing our collective minds. And it was one of the most beautiful moments I've had in a theater. Watching Star Wars, aside from watching the Kenobi premiere with this gentleman over here. Just say, because that was
Kenobi
nice.
is listen, let me just go on a side
It's special in
tangent.
its own way.
Let me just go on a tangent. Kenobi
Please.
gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I will never understand why.
Same.
I don't understand it. I love the Kenobi series.
Same.
And I just don't understand the complaints. I mean, I'm not saying people don't have a right not to like it. I'm just saying that it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't compute for me either. It's just
Yeah.
because I watched that show and I am reduced to tears. A lot of it
Oh my
because
word.
they threw a curveball and smacked me in the parental feelings
Oh, well, yeah.
with little Leia and all the dad feels. in
I mean,
that, like
there
where,
is no way
oh
that I could watch the scene where she says goodbye to Obi-Wan
Oh,
no,
that
oh
is
no,
without
no,
getting.
I'm gonna cry right now
sins
just
me.
talking about it.
I
No,
mean, when
Brandon.
she says, "Will I ever see you again?" just like her dad said,
Oh,
it's like, oh my gosh.
no.
See,
Yeah.
mine's you're wise, like you have
Oh
got
yeah, explaining what her
oh.
parents were
Oh.
like. Yeah.
oh, it sends me. And then
Listen, there are so many lines in that scene that just like start the waterworks for me. Okay, so don't get me started. Like it's just
Yeah.
like instant, just like bawling. I am ugly crying on the couch. If I ever like find someone who will put up with me again, like as like a
Well-
romantic partner, like I'm gonna have to watch that show on my own,
I'll
or
tell
I'm
you
gonna
what.
get like divorced
sorry.
again.
I'll
you
tell
know?
you. So getting up like Kenobi, Soapbox. I'll tell you my ugly cry. Rise of Skywalker ends. I am ugly crying in the theater.
Yeah.
My friend
That's
who's with me
beautiful.
said, "What do you think about the movie?" And I'm like, "Give me a minute," because I am just like sobbing.
Yeah.
And I always tell people online, I say, I was crying with joy. Some people were crying for other reasons. But I was crying with joy. That was my ugly cry. But as far as The Last Jedi, I'll tell you what, folks. Luke Skywalker's greatest moment is saving the day without violence.
Yes.
The best.
And
Yes.
speaking
Yes.
of, I
Yes.
mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but no spoilers. But the Acolyte deals with that subject as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Of the idea of how to not be violent and still defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Last Jedi is an excellent choice because I think that it's so profound. I think it really is. And I think the risks that it takes pay off. So Scotty, what's your favorite Star Wars film if you had to choose?
So on Bombay, we usually do best, favorite, and most fun.
Mhm.
And really deep down favorite is the Phantom Menace, and it probably always will be.
Oh yeah.
There's just inherent charm to it, and that most people, if they don't put the work into watching that movie, they don't get out of it. I mean, you can look at the movie and there are some things I can admit where it does have its flaws. Some of the dialogue is kind of flat in some cases.
Some of the Queen Amidala stuff is a little hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
welcome to a Star Wars movie.
Yes,
all I gotta
that's
say.
what I was gonna say.
I mean, there it is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that is
there
a
it
lot.
is. That's the answer right there.
Yeah. So like it is inherently Star Wars, and I've said it before on other outlets and on Twitter and other places, but it is the most pure of the films to me because George got to do whatever he wanted for this movie.
It is very pure. Yeah.
No one told him no, and then of course after the Phantom Menace came out, that's when you saw the changes from Jar Jar not being as involved, to other scenes not being quite what they could have been with other characters. So the reason why I say all that is because I watched the Phantom Menace and I know deep down that this movie was for kids of our age, but most importantly, it speaks to me the most in the sense of it being about found family, like the original found family, like how you
Star
bring
Wars
people
certainly
together.
likes its found family stories.
Yes. Of course, the concept of midi-chlorians is also one of my favorite things that allows me to kind of...
Okay, let me just go on a soapbox for a sec. Your video essay you did was incredible.
Thank you.
It was so well researched, well thought out. I love that you bring in like Joseph Campbell and you bring in other mythological sources. it is maybe one of the best videos explaining Star Wars that I think I've ever seen.
Oh my God, that is high praise, Brendan.
And
Thank you.
you're right. It is a topic that really causes a lot of, upset fans. When you really get into it, it doesn't really change anything that we already knew.
No.
It just kind of adds to it. And so, anybody listening, go find that video essay. It's incredible.
Yeah, so like regardless of what anyone tells you, later if you're a listener to this, but like the midi-chlorians are nothing but interconnectedness in nature and finding oneness with yourself in the world around you.
But
and
you and the Naboo form the Symbian Circle.
Yeah, and it's in the subtext of the entire movie. It's obvious, and obviously it was a plot device made for that movie. But most importantly, George somehow found a way to tie it into the whole saga, and of course, in the Clone Wars, and maybe even the Acolyte. We'll see.
Isn't it amazing to hear a Slash Ventress say midi-chlorians?
Yes,
yeah,
Bad Batch has brought it back, baby. But Brendan, thank you for asking me that. I think favorite Star Wars just fluctuate for a lot of people, but at this point in my life, I really resonate. The Phantom Menace just speaks to me.
I like that you call it the most pure because I think it is. Because it's really, that's George Lucas's thesis statement.
Yeah.
And so my favorite, so that will represent all three trilogies.
Here we go.
On this episode is, of course, The Empire Strikes Back. I would argue maybe the greatest sequel ever made.
It is.
One of the greatest films of the 80s. I would actually call it the greatest film of the 80s. And one of the most influential and important films ever made. Because as much as Star Wars gets the credit, if you had a crappy sequel, then that's the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And also the idea that Hollywood noticed, with Godfather 2 and with Empire, that you can make a sequel that is not just a cash grab rehash and actually expand the world in a really profound way. And of course, Empire has some of the best dialogue, some of the best music, some of the greatest shots. Like, okay, Luke gets into the Carthen room, and you hear, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker." And Luke turns, and there is the silhouette of Darth Vader. There, like a monolith.
Yeah.
You are not a Jedi yet.
Such a good line, man.
That is in my DNA.
Visuals.
From
a visual perspective, I mean, that might be the most gorgeous shot in all of Star Wars.
I agree.
The blue, the orange, and like you're talking about, I love how you described it as just this monolith of a silhouette that is Darth Vader. That is such a great way to put it. Like, oh man, you're absolutely right. It's so beautiful and unique.
And Yoda, of course, one of the greatest character introductions ever. Yeah. Introducing this character in such a. If Yoda had not worked, the whole movie would not have worked.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course, the greatest twist of all time.
See, and I was going to kind of say to that one thing, I forget that twist is in the movie because, like, I'm showing these movies we love and enjoy and talk about constantly are so ingrained, and I always forget. Like, I couldn't imagine being a kid in 1980 and being like, "There's no way," you know what I mean? And we didn't live through that, and I love hearing people have, and they talk about like what that 3 years was like.
Oh my word.
Now could you imagine 3 years?
Yep.
It's forever.
Yep. So we represented all three trilogies with our favorite films, and that just shows you how amazing Star Wars is. Okay. Third question, Scotty, we'll start with you. Who's your favorite Star Wars character if you had to choose?
So a kid asked me this the other day, one of my students, and I always have to like preface this that I'm a prequel kid, but I'm in this, newfound era that we have with Disney Plus, and I always say Din Djarin, the Mandalorian.
There you go.
That was the character where I went in watching
That's a
the
good
Mandalorian.
choice. That's a good choice.
back in November of 2019, I was like, this is gonna be a badass bounty hunter show. Oh, sorry, Brendan. A sick bounty hunter show.
Hey,
And
it's all good. That falls within the TG category.
Okay, good. So I was watching and I was like, this show's gonna be about bounty hunters, and then it wasn't. And like we're talking about Jerry's shirt earlier, it was all about what it means to be a father, an adoptive father.
One of the greatest kept secrets in the history of TV.
Yeah,
ever.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how they kept that a secret.
I mean it when I say it. Like,
we were in Chicago and did not know about Grogu. Can you imagine it? We didn't even know. We didn't know his name till like 2 years later.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I get giddy when I talk about Din Djarin because he's a character that's constantly grown. He went from being an apostate to being a forgiven Mandalorian. But what does it mean to be a Mandalorian? And then there's just so many cool things that
he's responsible for bringing the tribes back together.
Exactly. And also there's a Joseph Campbell thing to it where it's like he is literally the hero of 1,000 faces.
Yes.
I mean, any one of us can see ourselves in that character if we so choose to.
By the way,
the good and
those
the bad
listening,
side.
that's a good book. You should go read it.
Great book.
The Hero of 1,000 Faces is a fantastic book.
But yeah, that's my favorite.
That is a great choice, and I got to meet Mando at Galaxy's Edge.
Nice.
And Grogu. He had Grogu in his pocket.
The satchel.
It's beautiful.
It's so great. Gerry, your favorite Star Wars character?
So I'm very what as they say, white bread, vanilla, whatever you want to say. And anytime anyone asks who my favorite Star Wars character is, I go through the catalog of all these beloved characters that I love with my entire being, and I have to pick one of my children and tell the rest of them to stay outside because I got to let the favorite have their steak dinner. And the one that I always bring in for that steak dinner is Han Cornelius Solo. And
there he is.
I know. I just there's something about the way that the way that Harrison Ford is in real life, mixed with the wit and fun he puts into that character, but also the depth weirdly underneath, where it's like, he's kind of silly. And honestly, Han Solo, everyone talks about like, oh, Han Solo's good at everything. Like, Han Solo's really lucky. Han Solo constantly fails and everything. Like, that's what I love. Harrison, as big and confident and like a manly man as Harrison is, he's the best. He is the best manly man because, again, he is not like talking about how he misses real men like Seinfeld has been doing recently in the press. He's not doing any. I know. Hey, shots fired. But he is out there just being himself, but also playing these characters like Han and Indiana Jones that fail, that have flaws, that are, but my only thing is like, it's like me, but I just wish I was chiseled out of bronze the way that I wish I like had a little bit of that Harrison Ford just zhuzh, I mean, just shape my chin like his for once, for please, Lord, just one. I pray every night, just once, make my chin the same shape as Harrison Ford's. But no, I mean, Han Solo, just, I mean, so I've rewatched after we watched the Phantom Menace the next weekend I had with my kid. I put on A New Hope, and and she loved it. She was just like enthralled the whole time, which is great because it's a movie from 1977 and she's 7 years old. But she's a cool kid though. Anyway, I'm biased. But every time when Han kind of goes away and he's coming back, but just like it still kind of brings a tear to my eye when he comes, you hear the wahoo, and he's coming and he like just like coming in like you're all clear, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home is just that is the thesis statement of Han Solo is it's this guy who wants to pretend like he's out for himself. He thinks he's not pretending. He thinks that's how he is. But he has too much of a heart and he has to come back and he has to help and everything like that. And he'll make up every excuse in the book as to why he came back and everything. But he loves Luke. He loves that kid. That's his best friend. He doesn't really have a thing for the princess, but something develops and things like, and I mean, there's just so much fun and so much depth, even up to the prequel or the sequel era where we kind of get Han kind of being Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first one. And I ugly cried.
Ford might give his best performance in Force Awakens.
Absolutely.
I think.
Absolutely.
That might be his best performance. And his little reappearance in The Rise of Skywalker, which is beautiful.
It's the best Han Solo he's ever done, for sure. Like, and a guy I love, like, he's good in all the movies, but like, and I tell you, and I told the story a million times, but I ugly cried when Han gets ran through and drops. I cried like I lost my favorite uncle right there. Like it just, and it was anyway.
So did you ugly cry when he reappeared as a
memory? Yeah, no, I was I'm inconsolable anytime especially parental like father stuff happens that's like meaningful. It always means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Again, as someone who strives to be a good dad and things like that. And so like I'm a mess of tears.
My dad, anytime he watches anything with like dad kid relationships, he just loses it.
Yeah. Something changes in your DNA. Like that, absolutely.
It's so interesting that we should also definitely give a shout out to Alden Ehrenreich, who I think was fantastic as young Han.
Absolutely.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
No.
And I think that it continues this idea of, and I think our friend Elton Diaz pointed this out. People kind of misunderstood Han Solo.
Yeah.
For a lot of fans, he's the cool, tough, out for himself guy. When in reality, he's trying to put on that mask of look at how cool I am.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm an outlaw. But deep down, we know that that's not him.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I would argue that the best Han Solo moments, I mean, yes, we love the droid era and the big machismo moments. I think his best moments are when the mask comes off.
Yes.
And we see the real Han Solo. And, when he puts down his guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Han is a great character because there's so much complexity.
Yeah.
Yes.
To him. For me, my favorite character is Palpatine. Not because I like him. But because I enjoy his Machiavellian pulling the strings to manipulate things.
Yeah.
He's got his fingers in everything. Now, as far as the favorite good guy, probably Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, no question.
Yeah.
Which is why I have a green lightsaber.
Same.
Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon also has said my favorite quote. The quote that I lived my life by. Your focus determines your reality.
Yes.
I mean, speaking of the Phantom Menace being amazing.
Yeah.
So now I always like to throw in a fun question at the end. If you were in Star Wars, what kind of hairdo would you have, Scotty?
So I'm going to give you all a little secret. I've been growing my hair out for a year and 2 months now. I've been growing out since my wedding, April 8th, 2023. And you know what? I'm gonna be real with everyone right here. I'm getting it cut tomorrow. I'm gonna get it cut short today, which is crazy. I know.
No.
So as of right now,
Hashtag keep the locks.
I've always loved Qui-Gon's hair. Not to bring up Qui-Gon again, but like Qui-Gon has such a cool hairstyle. Of course, I also like Attack of the Clones, Ewan McGregor, that like lion's mane and the mullet look. But another one that I think most people associate with Anakin that I like the most, and it's weird. I think it's different. I like his Ahsoka haircut. I mean, I think it's almost near the same.
I mean,
as it is in Revenge of the Sith.
I mean,
it's almost
let me
perfect.
just say, seeing Hayden Christensen in the Clone Wars getup was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
yes.
yeah.
And that haircut.
Yeah, that's good hair.
In between hair.
Yeah. That's
it's good hair.
It's great hair. So you know, I have three. I don't know if I can just choose just one, Brennan. I'm very curious to hear Jerry's answer, because I have always liked Jerry's hair. Jerry has really nice hair to me. Since been for 5 years. Always thought that.
All right, Jerry. What about you?
Ideal hair.
I've always leaned towards like longer hair. Like I've always like the dream in my head is like that I would look like Sweet with some luscious locks and everything like that, but I never like can get past a certain point and things like that. So, you know, if I was in a galaxy far, far away and everything, I'd probably try to go for it. And I'm gonna go kind of for the same answer as Scotty a little bit. I would probably go for the Anakin Revenge of the Sith, straight up Anakin. Just as that's a good length and everything. That was the length that I was trying to obtain when I was in all those emo bands back in the early 2000s, you know. But again, could never quite get to. I had the emo flip though, so it's fine. It is okay. But yeah, no. But you know, maybe besides that, maybe I might go for once I grow it out. Maybe I'll go for a Queen Amidala look once in a while. You know, like some little Nubian number. You know, for a nice night out or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a nice
something ornate.
Except I don't particularly like the hair being that long. I'm trying to think of a character as hair as short as mine, but definitely, well, there's a character in the Acolyte that has quite the hairdo, but I wouldn't want that hair. And I think you know who I'm talking about. But I think I'd try to keep it pretty simple and just, I don't know, Palpatine hair. I don't know.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
Maybe keep it real simple. Something.
Palpatine kind of though. He's almost got.
He's got the
the kind of curly. Palpatine's hair almost looks a little bit like mine if it was a little bit more thin and gray and red. I mean, I think Palpatine might be a ginger, which is kind of terrifying too. I don't know why.
Ian McDermott is redhead, so
yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
that's a scary thought. All right, so those are our questions. So we sort of come now to kind of the general idea, which is just all the hype. You guys have been doing a great job covering the hype that led up to the Phantom Menace in 1999. Now I remember seeing the trailer for the first time. I was with my Boy Scout troop. We were seeing Pixar's A Bug's Life. This would have been November or December of '98.
Yeah.
I had heard that the trailer was out. And we're sitting there in the theater, and I will never forget those cricket sounds, the fog. Every generation is a legend, and there's the Gungans coming out of the swamp. I mean,
gives me chills talking about it.
Iconic images, and I remember watching that, and I still think it might be one of the greatest teasers of all time.
Yeah.
And I think that it completely like I think for the rest of the day, because we saw it at night. We're driving on somewhere on a trip, and I'm pretending I'm flying in a spaceship. It had that effect on me, and And I next day I went out and like reenacted what I was out in the front yard reenacting what I remembered from the trailer, and it was really quite a moment. And the funny part is I don't remember seeing Phantom Menace the first time.
Oh, really?
Have we lost Gerry?
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay, he's still here. But then the hype machine was complete insanity, and Pepsi apparently had a big deal with Lucasfilm because Pepsi also owned Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, and they went into overdrive with their marketing. And of course, we have to talk about him. The time has come to talk about Marcelo.
Oh my God!
Son.
Look, I'm gonna be honest here. I'll give you something I said on Bombad, but I'll definitely say it here. I had a very fortunate privilege last summer to go tour Lucasfilm because I guess you could say I'm Pablo and I we're friends. We've talked a handful of times, and I asked him if there was a chance that we could go visit or just stop by and I can just see him for a second because I was passing through San Francisco, and
you didn't come see me.
I know, right, Brennan? I know. I feel terrible now. It was such a quick day. It was literally a day trip. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because he said I was the only person he knows that got excited as I did when I saw the Marvel Up maquette in one of the shelves. Because I'm walking around and I see like I see Return of the Jedi Yoda and I cry and like, I'm very open with my emotions. But he said I'm the only person he's ever known to run up to the glass and go, Marvel Up, and then immediately take my phone out, take a selfie with it. And like that and it's just such a weird niche character. But I mean, did you watch that stream, Brennan, where we ended up
yes,
watching
I did.
the magic of Marvel Up?
Oh yes.
What did the lady say, Gerry? The copious amounts of joy.
Copious it's like joy made
joy
it was
incarnate.
Like joy incarnate is how she described Marfalump, which is listen, Marfalump is Scotty and I have joint custody of Marfalump. So yes. we are his caretakers now.
And for those who may be too young to know who Marfalump is, listening, describe Marfalump.
Gerry, you do that. I want to hear your description.
Take all the pod racers, chuck them in a blender, pour them into like a Men in Black mold, and slap a Pepsi T-shirt on that. 4-armed, googly-eyed, hyperactive, constantly drinking Pepsi, just creature.
You should switch to caffeine
and you've
free.
got Marfalump. Yeah. It honestly raised by an old elderly couple in what looks like Kansas, much like Superman. So he actually destroys his family's home to go see the Phantom Menace with Jake Lloyd. So
wait, there's one,
and he tries to go on a date by describing the movie to his date. Remember that one?
Yes.
Right. She just listen. She wasn't the one, Marfalump. You deserve someone who will make the noises with their mouth of the lightsaber with you while holding a Pepsi can. You deserve that, man. Don't worry about her.
The best part is we discovered that there's a shot of Mahonic from the lightsaber up through the pod race. And he's in a taxi. He goes,
doesn't he say something? He goes like, "Hey."
I don't remember. All I know is that Marfalump, I guess, was a very intense attempt at just making a character that was sort of canon but not. Like, I don't know, like it's such a weird mix of it's like they didn't know what they wanted from him, but they did. The concept art's crazy. Yeah, Marfalump is a creature. I don't remember Marfalump all that well. I don't know. Gerry, do you actually remember Marfalump?
Yes.
I do.
Okay,
you
really
do.
Okay, I was wondering if you did too, Brennan.
I do very well.
He was on. Wasn't he on like cardboard stand-ups as
mhm.
well, like
Yeah.
at stores. Like he was,
Crazy.
dude, he was. If I could, anyone out there, if you have a Marfalump
I'm gonna look for one.
cardboard cutout, we need it post haste.
Mhm.
But if you ever want to, if you're ever having a bad day and you want to just make it better,
Experience
watch
those
that.
copious amounts of joy.
Yes, just go hang out with Marfalump, but no, go watch that magic, whatever that documentary
Joy
is called about
incarnate.
them making Marfalump, because it is. I love it's man, that was like brand synergy and creativity and capitalism, just like having the most weird stepchild
Well, it was the
ever
late
in the
90s. It was
universe.
a very strange time.
It was so like, man, everything was going into that. I don't know if they were still doing the cocaine like they were in the 80s, but you know, I mean, Marfalump definitely seems like he's a vision that you have while you're on ayahuasca.
Northland in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, yeah, they were on lewds back then. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's like move over, Leo. Northland can play Jordan Belfort.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, what a time it was. And I remember the fast food tie-ins. I mean, Pizza Hut had a tie-in to like everything back then. If you recall. And I love just how excited everyone was and how just over the top like the commercials and the advertisements and the product tie-ins were just insane. And also just a very fascinating detail. So Gerry, I'm sure you remember Total Request Live with Carson Daly.
Yeah, I was not allowed to watch it at that age.
Well, I watched it anyway, even though I totally
right. Oh yeah. We would still sneak it. That's for sure. Yeah.
The only music video that is technically classical music ever to play on Total Request Live was Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, another strange thing is back then, they weren't as conscious about keeping secrets.
No.
There were two things that gave away a lot. One, the novelization, which was released before the movie.
How wild.
And the other was the soundtrack, which contains the piece Qui-Gon's Noble End.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon's Funeral. Which, gee, might give away a bit.
Just a little bit.
Now, I read the junior novelization before I saw the movie. But in those days, it didn't bother me that I knew what was going on. Would I do that today? Never.
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 That was a very of the 90s thing. I feel like it's just like we don't care, man. Just listen, we got to sell these books. We got crates and crates and crates of these things. We got to just push them out there. Put them on grocery store little like end aisles at the checkout so that kids beg their parents to buy that for them.
And it's also the days of Toys R Us.
Yes.
And oh my word, the toys. I remember
everywhere.
Before the
we knew how to do it back then.
Before the movie came out, they had released a couple of things to kind of whet our appetites for the movie. A battle droid on a step. There was a Mace Windu figure. There were some micro machines they released.
Oh, yes.
They were definitely ahead of the curve when it came to marketing the film as much as they could.
Thank you, Brennan, for... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Good.
I was gonna say thank you for mentioning Micro Machines because Star Wars Micro Machines were the only thing I collected for several years.
I still have
so I have I have quite a few still as well. I actually have a little Millennium Falcon. Oh wow. I actually have a little Millennium Falcon I put in the backpack I take as my carry-on on flights as like a good luck charm.
Oh, nice.
Kind of a thing.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's one from my childhood too. So I have that. That's my it's been to every celebration with me so far. It's been with me down to see Scotty. So
I remember that. You showed me that.
And I mean, I still have on Micro Machines, and they still held up after all these years.
They're so durable,
sturdy,
and tiny.
I mean, I remember just the marketing, the toys. In those days, I had the Toys R Us nearby. We also had the KB toys in the mall, which had some early Star Wars stuff. And also there's just so much that we could just go on and on and on about every little piece of marketing they had. But there is one other thing that you guys covered about the Phantom Menace that I would like to talk about. And that is the beginning, the making of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
With Rick McCallum being bleeped out most of his dialogue. He's very excitable, he is.
Yes.
But oh my word, what a fascinating documentary.
It is. And it's
very good.
It is, to me, like, it's so funny. I was sitting with my I went and stayed at my dad and my stepmom's place to visit them. And they were like, what do you want to watch? You know, and I'm like, God, I want to so bad be like, let's watch a 25-year-old documentary. But they wanted to watch like something. They wanted to watch like the Blue Angels documentary that just came out on Amazon Prime. And I'm like, I really want y'all to watch this. And I don't know if they've seen it. I don't know if my dad's seen it. I don't know if she's seen it. But like, it's so funny. Like, it's just the impossibility of making Star Wars Return is like the entire central theme of that whole special, that whole documentary. And like, how are we going to revolutionize filmmaking? Because we're going to do 2 more of these. And if this goes well, then everyone's going to want to do this in the movie. And they were right. Like, they were right. And like, it's so weird to watch it with the lens of 25 years ago. You know, like, they did it. Like, they actually made this thing a reality. And now, you know, not even modern Star Wars can be made without the ideas that were implemented during the Phantom Menace era of Star Wars films. So I don't know, that documentary, there's so many weird ways you can look at it. You can almost look at it as a cautionary tale, because there's scenes that people usually pick out that are like, you know, I may have gone too far in a few places, or Jar Jar is the key to all this. And, you know, those things almost seem jokey and like, you know,
people
kind of
who
like,
use that as their ammo.
Yes. And when you really watch it for what it is, those things are all inherently true, because that movie had so much writing on it. And it's not to criticize the film, but it's definitely so important to look at this movie for what it really was. And it was a return to form for a guy that has been out of filmmaking since 1977, because he didn't direct anything else. You know what I mean? Like, this was an insane responsibility.
Excuse me, Howard the Duck. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
He actually didn't direct that, but you know, whatever.
Oh, did he not? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Willard Hook. Or Hook. I never knew how to say his name. It's so funny watching.
For the bathtub duck is just they were in charge.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the most infamous 80s film moments. But it's funny to watch the beginning documentary. Well, I mean, to hear Rick McCallum, you know, half of his dialogue missing. Because he's swearing all the time.
Half of his dialogue.
I mean, he's swearing out of happiness, but he's not, yeah.
Oh,
but he's very excited. He's very excitable.
Very.
Watching, seeing the fight choreography. Nick Gillard going, once more with you, then. Lightsaber stuff, and you get to see, interviews with some of the people like Silas Carson, who plays Katie Lindy, and Newt Gunray.
Except
and that's a fun little thing. The first scene they filmed is that balcony bit with Darth Maul and Darth Sidious, which is really neat. And then I just love seeing the on location in the desert, 120-degree weather in Tunisia. There's Ahmed Best wearing his Jar Jar outfit. I mean, Ahmed Best, much love, Ahmed, if you're listening. But yeah, amazing behind-the-scenes documentary that really is just a lot of fun to watch. Because, this is a guy pushing the boundaries of filmmaking.
Yeah. Changing everything.
We've seen where it's led now. That's pioneering motion capture, pioneering digital filmmaking on Attack of the Clones, pioneering new uses of CGI. And George has always been ahead of the curve when it comes to creating new technology that then becomes the industry standard.
Yeah.
And one of the other things you guys have done with the build-up to Phantom Menace is, of course, at the very end of the beginning documentary, the first showing in San Francisco at midnight, May 19th, 1999. And people going in really excited. Now, according to the book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, some of the people there had a interesting reaction to the film, to say the least. But for us, I think that the three of us were young enough that it came at just the right time in our lives.
Yeah.
Did you guys have the visual dictionary?
Yes.
I just put mine up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I still got mine. My first copy fell apart.
Oh,
I read it to death.
That's amazing. I love that kind of stuff.
And then did you ever have the large silver book called Inside the Worlds of the Phantom Menace?
No, I did not
I
have that. Is that the one? Is
seeing
that the one
book.
that's the cutout book, Brennan?
No, that's the cross sections.
Cross sections.
Cross sections. It's you're talking about. It's like it was like overhead views of.
You get a view of the Boonta Eve course.
Oh no, I don't have that. That's awesome.
We still have it after all these years.
Yeah,
it's an amazing book. I was sad they didn't make ones for the other two films.
That's the thing too, and most people don't acknowledge this, but the Phantom Menace had the special treatment of being the first of this series, so it had a lot of only one and dones in the sense of like there was a tie-in video game that was the plot of the movie, and of course Revenge of the Sith got that as well, and I know Attack of the Clones got that in like Game Boy form, but like didn't get a PS2 version or like PS1 version. So like this movie had like seriously, I think the numbers like 7 or 8 just unique tie-in games for this one movie. Thousands of books,
comics,
tons of comics, tons of toys. The Power of the Force line obviously previewed what the real toy line would be. So like this movie had so much unbelievable hype to it. Like you said earlier with Marvel, but you also got the Taco Bell toys that are like really easy to find, come across now. Like Nick Milky, friend of the Bombadcast,
one underneath my my computer.
Literally, like
there we go.
They're just everywhere.
And like if I were to just stretch my arm in any direction, I could grab a Phantom Menace toy. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so weird. And another thing we gotta bring up. It's some of the only figures that you can still buy in box that are actually not worth more than they were when you could buy them in the 90s, because they made so much of them.
And like I'm looking up on the wall, I got one now.
Yeah, see, like I went in Chicago. I was like, I want to have like, a Watto in box and a Darth Maul in box, and I had like $60 or so saved up for figures. And I walked up and he's like, oh, just be $10. I'm like, oh, okay, like it was the same exact price it would have been in 1999. It's just so funny. I don't know, like I'll just never forget, because then I went and bought the Darth Maul Hasbro Black Series that was in the Phantom Menace packaging, and they did that one figure that had that. So like the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the things that we still love are actually still very affordable. Like I've got like this Star Wars book right here. It's called Star Wars Galactic Phrase Book and Travel Guide.
Oh, I
It's a
remember
really
that.
stupid
I
book,
remember that one.
but it was written by Ben Burt, and it's all from the Phantom Menace era. So it's got all these Phantom Menace creatures in it and dialogue. Yeah, yeah. So like this movie really needed so much to go right. And, you know, we talked about it's kind of a unfortunate legacy for about 10, 15 years. But with shows like Force Center, with you know, shows like, you know, Bombadcast and, you know, page turners, they were not you know, like I don't know. It's all there. You know, like we have gotten a chance to make this show come back.
And I was amazing. I was watching recently Community and Parks and Rec, and there were a couple of jokes about the prequels that have not aged very well in those shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was what you did at the time. And I, for one, am glad that the kids who saw Phantom Menace are now adults and are able to say, that's my Star Wars.
Yep.
Just as much as the original trilogy was to the older generation. And I hope that that happens again with the sequel.
I think it will. And look at Leslie Headland, like, you know, I mean, she was a kid of the Phantom Menace.
Oh,
she
yeah.
was like,
she's about probably my age in the ballpark.
So, like, there's something to be said about that. You know what I mean? Like, now people that were kids growing up with it now are getting a chance to make a Star Wars, and it's nothing but love towards the Phantom Menace. It's so interesting.
And what an interesting coincidence that yesterday we get the Acolyte, and everyone's getting Phantom Menace vibes from the Acolyte.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just glad to see that the legacy of this film has really established itself, because I think George Lucas understood that the generation that watched this as kids, it was going to mean a lot to them many years down the road. And as we talked, the lessons in the movie are some of the most powerful lessons in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of brings us, sadly, to the end of our discussion. I wish we could go on for hours and hours, but we would all probably lose our voices.
We got at least 4 more hours in each of us, like respectively. So.
Yeah, we do.
But the time, I have such fond memories of that era, that late 90s build up to the Phantom Menace. And how much of Star Wars has been affected by the Phantom Menace has been, it's almost incalculable.
Yeah.
So as we end, guys, I always like to end with this question. We start with you, Gerry. What does Star Wars mean to you?
Wow, that's what a question to end it on too.
That's a hell of a
Star Wars. Star Wars to me, is just oh man, how do you put it into words? It's Star Wars to me is childlike wonder and also morality lessons and tales, but also intrigue and filmmaking, just innovation, and also just absolute mastery of the arts of filmmaking and things like that. But just Star Wars can be silly and also be the deepest thing you've probably seen. And so that's just the beautiful comparisons, and I wouldn't say contradictions necessarily, but like the wonderful contradictions that are in there. Just like you get all these things coexisting in this film series, now franchise, just with TV shows, everything, that no matter where you look, where you go, there's a little piece of it for someone. It's for everyone. It's something that people like, even my parents who are very casual fans of things like that, can still come, and like they went to see the Phantom Menace a couple weeks ago, and I guess it was their first time seeing it probably since I lived in their house. And my mom texted me and is like, that was so good. And just like, it just really speaks to it speaks to something inside of us. I think about, like, you found family, and it brings families together, but it also has helped people find their true family. They maybe like fell out with their other family, and that's what it's all about. And it's something that you pass on to. I'm taking up all the answers, but that's just how overreaching and overarching it is. It's just like Star Wars is. It's almost its own. I don't want to use the word religion, but it's its own, like it's like a way of life almost for a lot of people, and it's just a very culturally important thing that we have the privilege of being alive in the same time as. And so I'm very grateful to be on this planet at this time for this.
And the fan family of our podcast community.
Yeah,
exactly.
My podcast, the Galactic podcast, and my buddy Jared the Dark Jedi were at the Nerd Academy, and and Force Center, and just the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Scotty, what does Star Wars mean to you?
It's weird because, I know I said it earlier, but it kind of flew. It came in and out of my life, but it is definitely childhood to me. And I know you've seen the video, but there's a reaction video of me for your listeners listening that has 6 million views. And, I don't think anyone that's not a deep fan of this stuff would understand why that moment was important for all of us. And watching that reaction now, I teach middle school kids that always like, why did you cry, Mr. Jayro? I'm like, I wish I could explain it to you, but like, there was a time where these things weren't ever going to be available. And I was 10 years old, and I kind of had to accept, like, okay, no more of these things. And then now it's back and it's in abundance. And I have family members and friends, like, and literally Gerry married me and my wife. Like, if it wasn't for Star Wars, that these connections wouldn't be a real thing for me personally. And it's taught me a lot about myself, a lot about what to expect of myself and other people as well. Because, and I know it's a silly thing to say, but whenever someone that's very casual, someone that you haven't seen in like maybe 10 years or whatever, say, you like Star Wars? You're almost like, you don't even know. You just don't even know what to say. It's
what if you ever get like I like your shirt?
I'll spend the next 6 hours telling you why.
Exactly. Like, do you really want me to answer that? I'm like, because every time anyone asks that, I always go, my answer is always, it was all if you only knew. Like, I can't even begin to express it. But no, really deep down, like, I'll show you. And I know we were talking about Campbell earlier, but like, there's so many things about the human condition that I've learned just from Star Wars and researching things that what makes Star Wars its own part of my universe and the world story, right? Or the human condition. So I don't know. It means pretty much everything to me. If it were to go away, I'd be okay too. Because it went away before, honestly. And I mean that. Like, it's not going to. It's under the Disney umbrella, and they're going to do whatever they can with it forever. But and that's fine. But I know if it did go away, I could still continue my life knowing that this chapter of my life, Star Wars coming back into it for the last 10 years was a very incredible part of my life. So I'm okay with where it's at, and I want it to grow even further. So it obviously means a lot.
Yeah. No, very well said, both of you. I concur with everything you've said. I know that for me, there are really kind of two answers. One is that I'm a religious person, and a lot of the lessons in Star Wars are exactly the lessons that I believe in. And sometimes they put into words things that I would never have been able to come up with a phrase or focus determines your reality. I mean, George Lucas came up with that, and it absolutely is what, for me, what I try to do with my life is that my focus is my reality. Because, I've got a few stumbling blocks in my physical limitations, but if my focus were on that, then that would become my whole universe. And so my focus, I rather choose to be on enjoying life, enjoying the good things of life. And so I think that Qui-Gon's statement is maybe one of the most profound movie quotes I could think of. And the other reason I love it is because, somebody asked her, because at the end of the day, what is the message of Star Wars? And he says, every day you can choose to help people and do good stuff or not. And every day it's up to you. But Star Wars is all about making the right choice.
Right.
Even if you spent your whole life making the wrong choice, Star Wars is about you can make the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many reasons why it means so much to people. But those are really the core of what it means to me.
Beautiful.
And I think that the fact that it means something different to every person is extraordinary.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And it's brought all three of us together. I mean, honestly, it's the most incredible thing. I wouldn't have known Brennan otherwise. I just know that without this conversation, and the things that make these conversations special, Star Wars is that uniting factor. It's incredible. It's so beautiful.
I would never have met our good friends J-Dub and Boop. Never would have met them.
Exactly.
Never would have met Goose and Nani at Triad of the Force. Never would have met Gustavo and Odie.
Right.
Or Alberto and Odie at Radio Rebellion. It brings us all together. It's really neat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, hey, if they didn't do a little celebration either before the Phantom Menace came out that we just got done to help hype it up. Scotty and I wouldn't have met, like so many people, like all these friendships and everything that just grow out of it's beautiful. It's beautiful that this has created so much connection.
And I thought it was beautiful during that episode. You guys were talking about this happened right after Columbine.
Yeah.
Star Wars can heal people, which is really neat.
It really can.
Absolutely.
It really is. Anyhow, well, guys, I thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been...
Thank you for having us.
This has been a blast. So, and I cannot wait to get to talk more Acolyte as more and more the story gets revealed. Now, Scotty, where can we find you?
Well, I am at the Scott Jayro. I know Brennan follows me on Twitter. You can also follow me on my Instagram and everything else as well. But if you follow me on Twitter, I'm just gonna be real with you. You might get a spam full of monkeys and dolphins and all different kinds of things.
Sometimes I can't scroll and see other tweets and things like that. Like if Scotty's going to bed, I know oh, okay, Scotty's going to sleep.
I will review this here, and I've only told a select group of people this, but Brennan, I usually do that to fall asleep. So if I do that, you see me do that, it's because I'm trying to fall asleep. No, it's okay. That's what I try. It's like my sleeping. It's like the sheep, jumping the fence. That's my sheep jumping the fence.
Scotty's smoking 8 pictures. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
But no. Follow me there. Obviously, though, if I were to plug anything, it'd be the Bombadcast. We're covering the Acolyte over the next 7 or 8 weeks, called the Bombadcast. And we're gonna have Jorgan as our rotating guest. But all that being said, watch my midichlorians video essay because it means a lot to me. It is exactly 2 hours of the most comprehensive research of the subject, even before the Bad Batch came out, which I'm gonna do an addendum to it and probably make another video at some point. Anyway, Brennan, I can't thank you enough for having me on because you're such a good friend and a good person, and I'm very thankful that we can have this moment together as well, and of course with Gerry. I'm glad.
Thank
Gerry's
you.
here too.
You're making me
I am
blush.
also here.
You're making me blush. But yes, thank you.
Yes.
Gerry, where can we find you?
You find me chuckling with this Yahoo every Thursday around 9 p.m. Eastern. And we do go on and we get a little saucy on that show, so be warned and everything, a little unhinged,
just a little, just a little,
but we just a smidge.
Well,
but we
that's
have
why
good
I'm
fun.
in the chat, so I can,
Brennan
try to turn
is
things around.
Yes, Brennan is our you are our anchor to reality. So we appreciate that because we can float off into just silly williness quite often. And so but thank you seriously, Brennan. Thank you so much for having us on here. But you can also find me everywhere pretty much that I want you to find me at the Canon Junkie. So just look for that. And that's canon with one N, as in the canon of the Bible, or of anyway, kind of a thing. But
canon,
also, yes, the canon. Yes, but you can find me. Let's see, also on ionized. I don't know if I can say the title of the show. You guys say that? Oh, is it okay? Ionized Bastards, Ionized Bad Guys. I'm just kidding. Ionized Bastards on All Remaining Systems. Our lovely friend Michael McCoy's channel. It is a Star Wars role playing game. It is Star Wars meets Guardians of the Galaxy, and I play the droid in that. So check that out. And that's all the places you can find me. Again. Brennan, you are just one of the coolest, just most scholarly, friendly dudes we've ever met. And I appreciate you seriously so much for honoring us by having us come on your show, sir.
Thank you so very much. Well, everyone, you know where to find me. But thank you all for listening to this episode of The Guests Awaken with Scotty and Gerry, the Bombadcast. Go check out their podcast. It's absolutely worth it. Well, my name is Brennan Moore, the Noisy Hearings by Ventilator. Thank you for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not. My Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.